Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the ACential Podcast. My name is Sean with the Arts and Publication team from ACential, and guys, ACen 2022 is coming up really fast. As of the day I am recording this, which is Monday, March the 28th, we have just got 53 days until opening day of Anime Central 2022. So we've got some announcements to talk about in this episode, and we are also going to be doing a first-timer's guide to ACen. So if you have never been to our convention before, and you're like, what do I do? Where do I go? This episode is going to be all for you. Let's go ahead and start with our announcements. First big announcement is registration. Tier 3 is ending. We are coming to the end of Tier 3 registration. It ends on April 1st at midnight. As of April 2nd, the price is going to go up to the full $80 at con price, and badge mailing will no longer be an option. So if you do not have your badge for Anime Central 2022 and you want to get it mailed to you, which will save you guys a lot of time when you get to the con, then you need to make sure you are registered no later than April 1st at 11:59 p.m. Because once the day ticks over to April 2nd, that's it. We go up to full at-con pricing, and you're going to have to do will call pickup. The next announcement we want to talk about is an update to our COVID-19 safety guidelines. On February 28th, 2022, Cook County Health Department, along with the state of Illinois' health department, dropped all COVID-19 safety mitigation protocols. This included the indoor mask requirement by the state of Illinois and the indoor vaccine requirement by Cook County. Once this happened, we began to have internal discussions about what would be the best path forward for our convention this year in regards to COVID. We reached out to our vendors, we reached out to our venue, we talked to our industry guests, and we came up with the following update. Number 1, we are still going to require masks in all indoor convention spaces. This includes tabletop gaming, the Grand Ballroom in the Hyatt, video gaming, and the panel rooms and the vendors hall. So if you are going to be in a convention space where we are operating, you are going to be required to wear a mask. Also, in regards to our vaccine requirement, we are still going to require proof of vaccination. However, you can substitute that with the proof of a negative COVID test taken within 72 hours of your arrival. So if you have a negative test result within 72 hours of your arrival at the convention, we'll accept that as well. So just to recap, masks are still going to be required, proof of vaccination, or a negative COVID test. What do we mean by negative COVID test? That means it has to be a clinically produced test. So we will not take any at-home testing results. It has to be one that is provided by a doctor or another medical professional. You can look online for testing sites in Illinois or in your state of residence. You can look for your local CVS or Walgreens, and they can administer those. But it has to be one that is administered. It cannot be one that you do yourself. All right, so let's talk now about guest announcements. We have announced a couple of guests since we last spoke. First up is voice actress Dora Fine. We've got drag personality Oriana Perone. We will be having a concert by A New World intimate music from Final Fantasy. And lastly, chalk artist Eric Marusak will be rejoining us on the floor drawing an awesome chalk drawing. So we've got more announcements coming. Full links to all the bios are going to be on our website. So make sure you check it out. Like I said, we've got more guest announcements coming. Stay tuned. All right. Now for the major crux of this episode, we're going to be talking about a first-timer's guide to Anime Central. Just so you guys know, I've been attending ACen since 2009. I know that there are people who've been attending for way longer, but I also know that there are some people out there who ACen 2022 is going to be their very first ACen. And in some cases, this is going to be their very first convention overall. And it can be intimidating, especially when you're talking about the largest anime convention in the Midwest. So I've compiled a list of tips and suggestions on how to enjoy your first ACen. So this list is going to assume that you have already taken care of your transportation to the convention and your accommodations, whether you are staying in one of our con block hotels or you're driving yourself in every day. So this is just assuming that you already know all that. You arrive at the convention center. What do? Very first thing you want to do is head over to Hall A, which is big. You can't miss it. Go inside there. That is where the registration center is. This is where if you didn't have your badge mailed to you, you're going to pick up your badge. If you had your badge mailed, make sure you've got it with you. Now, if you already have your badge, you still want to come to the registration center. This is where you're going to show the proof of your vaccination. We're going to have tables set up with staffers who are going to check proof of vaccination or your negative COVID test. So you're going to go up to one of these. You're going to show them your proof of vaccination or your negative COVID test. You're going to get a wristband. You're going to want to keep that wristband all weekend because you're going to be required to show it at all indoor convention spaces. Also in the registration center is going to be a table set up to give out our program guide for the year. This is going to be where all of the things that are happening at ACen are going to be printed. So we always have a really awesome program guide. Definitely recommend you pick up one of those. Also, what I also recommend for you is if you have a smartphone, you want to go onto the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and download the app called Guidebook. A lot of conventions use this app. This app is what we use to convey the latest updates to the convention. We are actually hard at work on this year's guidebook. Stay tuned for updates as to when that will be available, but here is where you'll be able to find our guest list, the schedule, and where all the events are happening. We have a handy dining guide. We have a whole lot of really cool things in the guidebook that you'll want to check out. So you've got your badge, you've got your proof of vaccination or COVID test, you've got guidebook on your phone, or you have the program guide, you're ready to go. What do? Well, the very first thing that I recommend you do is head on over to the Hyatt, to the Grand Ballroom, and go to opening ceremonies. This is where we talk about all the great things that are going to be happening this weekend, give you kind of a taste of what's to expect. And it's a really great way to just kick off your weekend. Once you've been to opening ceremonies, head back over to the convention center and get right into the dealer's hall. Believe me, there's nothing more exciting than being on the convention floor as the vendor's hall opens. It's just a wave of excitement, a wave of people walking in and going to check out all of our lovely vendors and our industry guests that are there. Definitely recommend jumping in there as soon as you can when you get there. So you've walked around the vendor's hall. You've maybe spotted some things you want to buy later. But now what do? Where do you go from here? Head on over to our artist alley. We have a lot of really wonderful and talented artists that are going to be joining us this year. That'll be selling all kinds of craft goods and things like that. So we definitely recommend giving them a look and allocating some money, because you can very quickly see all this amazing art and be broke within the first few hours. Once you have checked out the entirety of the convention floor, take a look at your guidebook. We have a lot of really amazing fan panels. We'll also have a lot of really amazing panels presented by our guests that you'll want to check out. Make sure you go through the guidebook app or the program guide and mark out the things that you want to do, because it's definitely worth your time. All right, so you've checked out some fan panels. You've been down on the floor. What else is there to do? Well, we do have an awesome video game room. Every year, our video gaming group does an amazing job getting in some amazing cabinets from Japan, a lot of console gaming, trust me, our video game room is top notch, and you'll definitely want to check that out. So you've been running around like crazy all day. You've been to so many panels and the floor, and you've played a bunch of video games. What's that rumbling you feel? It's your stomach. It's telling you you're hungry. Don't forget, while you're at convention, to follow the 6-2-1 rule. 6-2-1 rule is as follows: 6 hours of sleep a night, 2 full meals a day, and Pocky does not count as a meal, and 1 shower. Believe me, guys, hygiene is highly important, especially in a year where we're trying to get through COVID. You know, we highly, highly recommend 1 good shower a day, 2 full meals, 6 hours of sleep, and you'll be right and ready to go for your next day of conventioning. So much stuff to do. You do it all, and you do it all again. Another highly recommended item that I have for you guys is to make sure you join our Discord server. Our Discord server is a great way for you to stay in touch with all the great people that you meet at ACen. It's a very vibrant community, always something going on. I highly recommend you check out the Discord server. All right, guys. So this is a rather short episode, but a lot of information going on. We've got some awesome guests that are coming. We've got more guest announcements on the horizon. We're all trying to get through COVID, and we hope that you guys are sticking with us and you're ready for an amazing year at this year's ACen. With all that in mind, all the stuff that we talked about today is going to be in the show notes. We've got links to all the guests. We've got my First Timer's Guide to ACen in there. And we've got a link to our updated COVID protocols. So make sure you read the show notes, or you check out our website, www.acen.org, for all the latest information. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all those platforms. And stay up to date on the latest news about the convention. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Like I said at the top of the episode, guys, we don't have very much longer to go until ACen 2022. I hope you guys have got your cosplays, at least started. For those of you that don't have them started, you better get going, because we've only got 7 weeks to go until ACen. So with all that in mind, I have been Sean with the Arts and Publication team here at Anime Central. I want to thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye. The ACential Podcast is an audio production for Anime Central and the Midwest Animation Promotional Society. All rights reserved.